I won't do that.
Hey, I'm Ellen Winjiro, and you are tuned in to Rewind with Ellen, episode 17.
And I'm our co-host, Ro Carter. How are you, beautiful?
I'm good. I am good. I was jamming to SZA right before we went live. It's something about SZA that just gets me, I don't know, feeling some kind of way. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? All buttoned up there. Can't wait to get into that.
Yeah. When you watch 5 seasons of Snowfall, you either become hood or drug dealer. So,
You're right there in between.
in between.
I love it. I love it. So did you get a chance to, and I'm sure I know that you did, but episode 6 of Bel Air. What did you think?
Yes, I did. So a couple things. One, I love the direction of the show. Um, Listen, I can't tell you enough, and I thank you again, Ellen. I might thank Ellen every day on the show, but my life is so much full of joy due to the interviews I've done. So I had the pleasure of interviewing the old original OG Jeffrey from the original Fresh Prince, Joseph Marcel.
Nice.
And when I tell you the energy and the love, he has a new movie coming out tomorrow, The Exorcism of God.
Mm.
It's crazy scary, but he brings his comedic chops to it, and he's been, he's a Shakespeare
Yes.
actor, and he just talks about Shakespeare the whole time, but with so much energy, this emphatic energy that you just want to be around him, like watch him. But anyway, we talked about the Fresh Prince, and he was like, it was a different time, right? You couldn't do that story back then, but you can do it today because Black Lives Matter, all these issues. I mean, they were still going on back then, but now it's a lot easier to have that conversation. It's like, think about it. We were like one of the first, like Black home families dealing with some issues, minus the Cosby Show and stuff like that, or Good Times. But we were one of those, bringing a rich Black man, a judge into the world. And so we couldn't really push the envelope that much. But, it was just a great story. So one last thing I will say about this, he asked if I was like, hey, are you going to be on the show anytime soon? And he's like, listen, tell Will, I'm ready. He's like, I'm ready to go. So I was like, that was awesome. So Will Smith, we have to hashtag him at Will Smith at the end of the show, and definitely get Will to get Joseph Marcel on the show. But I love it, man. The direction that the characters are now really building that depth. The relationships with Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv. Carlton's still going through his ups and downs, but I really love the energy in the show. So it's taken off.
It's taken off, and it keeps our attention still. I mean, it's the 6th episode, and I'm still tuned in and excited to see what happens. My favorite scene was the moment between Will Smith and Uncle Phil in his office, right after Will realizes that he's getting roasted on social media for being a sellout and not going back to Philly.
Yeah.
And that heart to heart between two men, between a young man and a grown man, it's not always easy to let your guard down and be vulnerable, especially as a man, as a Black man, I imagine. But I love that we got to see that tender moment between uncle and nephew, and it felt so genuine. I actually teared up in that scene just because it was so special, and the significance of it, right? Like, Uncle Phil was able to diffuse Will's anxiety. Like, that's not always easy. And for him to be able to relate to this young kid the way that he did, I thought was amazing. And then my second favorite part was Will and Lisa finally connecting at the end.
That was it's tough. It's tough because that's family, right? And so you're going against your cousin used to date Lisa. I don't know. It was tough for me. It's just like, the one thing I'm lucky about, I've never had to worry about a friend or a family member that we had the same kind of connections, but that's a tough one to do. And you living in my house?
Yes, that's
And one shout out to Uncle Phil, had to like, hey, I'm going to stroll down there. Yeah. Gentlemen, always roll. If you haven't, before your lady leaves for anything, if she's leaving on a sour note, you best to follow up. Make sure you are.
Absolutely.
Before it gets out of hand. So I like that. Normally stuff gets out of hand, but he was like, no, baby girl, how you doing? Hey, I'm here. So that presence there to drop everything to find out what was going on and really dig deep. And that's some real conversations that I don't think a lot of couples have, unless they have therapy. And so that was beautiful to see them like laid back and like, hey, you really want to be honest? And I was like, ooh, here we go. I was like, maybe you shouldn't say it, but I love that they were real with each other, but not to the point where there was disrespect there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's be honest. Lisa May is in the building. Hi, Lisa. She
Lisa!
says, happy Thursday. She agrees that was a powerful scene between Uncle Phil, and Will. She loves the series so far, and Uncle Phil is indeed a whole snack, Lisa May. Yes, he is. Yes,
you should follow his Instagram. You should follow his Instagram.
He's always posting. I'm sure she does. I'm sure she does. If not, Lisa, follow Uncle Phil on Instagram, and Jeffrey, because he's a snack too. All right, so a lot of snacks on that show. So moving on to the piece de resistance, Snowfall, season 5 came just in all its glory. We're what, 4 episodes in, if I'm not mistaken, and woo, I'm feeling some kind of ways about it. I wasn't expecting it to be like a future season, right? I'm thinking we're still in the hood. We're still trying to, hustle and bustle out the hood. But in the same breath, I'm not mad at the leveling up, right? But before I dive in, you recently caught up on 4 seasons, right? So before we get into season 5, what did you think of 1 through 4? Do you like it? Are you anti? Where are you at?
So there are people that have still not seen even an episode of Snowfall. I told them, hey, Snowfall's on 5th season. What's that? I'm like, oh my God. And so the way I describe it, I was like, you know what? I'm glad they didn't just do one story and focus on that. They focus on the CIA. They focus on the cartel. And then there's a lot of Black history about what happened, with the Black Panthers and kind of going on with that and happening in the community and how everybody's sort of involved and connected. And so that's what makes this show so amazing is that, you're not just stuck in, oh God, we're in the same thing again, shooting up again. No, this just, and then it's all about family at the end of the day. So I really love that. I mean, I had my favorite characters. What would I do at that age? Some of them died off. I mean, as the seasons progressed. But Franklin, man, woo! At first I felt for him. Now he's becoming this like, I don't know. It's scary to see what he's becoming, and that is such a young age, right? He's only 24, and so to go from 2019. And then you do the background history of him going to school and then see how this all happened. And I was like, oh, now it makes sense. And you put that together. So the writers on here are amazing. What John Singleton started, and I heard now Franklin's character is now directing Damson Idris.
I thought he was producing.
Producing. Sorry. Okay. Don't want to mess those up. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Producing, directing, man. But they're having them behind the I know, give producer credit, but having them behind the scenes, so that's beautiful. Yeah, it's really fun. I like it.
I mean, it's hard to imagine that this series came out in 2017. That feels like so many moons ago. But I remember how excited I was when it first came out and following each season. Like I was invested. My sister and I were invested. We would call each other and talk about what happened. Like, it's one of those series where you got to talk about it. I remember going to Charlotte, North Carolina to see family, and I went to a bar, and there was a group of dudes talking about Snowfall. Like they were in it. So what did I do? I rolled up. I was one of the boys, and I'm like, yo,
of course you did.
I heard that you guys were talking about Snowfall. Let's talk about it. What do y'all think? And we spent a good 2 hours dissecting that damn that series, and it was amazing
because it's a new Wire, right? That's the new thing. It's like, and everybody's arguing. That was a big argument. I remember I heard a year ago, like, what's better, the Wire or Snowfall? But the Wire is the beginning, right? So it's like, it's tough.
Right. All right. So what was interesting about episode 1 of season 5 was that opening scene, right? With the college basketball player ODing on coke. Come to find out, that's a true story, that's based on something that happened in 1986, which is when this season opens up, the summer of 1986. Basketball player Lenny Bias overdosed on coke, and he played for the University of Maryland. And 2 days prior to that overdose, to his death, he was drafted into the NBA, right? So I thought it was really telling for them to open it with that scene, with that true story, because it really speaks to, you know, what was going on around that time. And when you think back to 86, I don't think people wanted to hear that basketball players were ODing on coke, basketball players that were about to go to the NBA. Like, that wasn't mainstream news.
But I remember that as a kid. I was a big basketball fan, played on the team and stuff like that. I remember that. I do not remember cocaine being the reason he died at the time as a kid. So I don't know, you know, I wanted to look it up because now you hear the facts, but I swear as a kid, they just said he had a heart attack, but they didn't describe, you know, that it was because of cocaine.
Right.
I don't know if that's something they left out, you know, as a kid, but that's what you heard the story. You're like, oh no, oh my God. And it was because of cocaine.
Yeah, if you Google it, it speaks of cocaine. Whether that was a cover up, I don't know, but it's certainly.
Yeah, at the time, I don't think they actually, at the news, right. And that's what I'm saying. I wish you could have the actual news at the time, but I don't believe they said because of drugs. And then later down the line, it came out. But as a kid, you know, you hear the stories that your parents tell you, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was like, oh, he just had a heart attack or something. Just keep going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story. Google it if folks are interested. And so Lisa May, brings up a good point. She says it speaks to the impact of coke and crack during that era. Like it was so incredibly intense and heavy, but it took a while for it to be mainstream, right? And so that's what's so good and weird about this series, right? Not that it's glorifying coke and crack, but it speaks to a point in time where this happened and it affected so many people from so many different demographics. So I think John Singleton knew exactly what he was doing when he created this. And I couldn't have picked a better person than Damson Idris to portray Franklin Saint. So speaking of Franklin, I forgot that he was 24. I'm still thinking Franklin is my brother. Well, I'm like, wait, how is he in a penthouse? He's about to be a father. Like all these things are happening. These are grown man things. But Franklin is the type of character that he is wise beyond his years, and he's making big man moves and decisions. And so what's interesting about this season is, all right, he's leveled up. We're future Franklin. We're seeing, where he's trying to go. And now the people that he has around him, the new girl who's preggers, and who's really instrumental in sort of shifting Franklin's direction and way of thinking and legitimizing him and his business. Again, I'm like, wait, he's 24? What's happening? Yeah, he owns a plane, but he owned a plane in season 4, right?
Yeah.
If serves me right. So yeah, I am proud of who he is as a gangster / businessman, knowing where he came from, but I'm also terrified because now there's nowhere else to go but down. Like he's leveled up so much. Is he gonna come crashing back down? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, the next step up is going into politics.
Okay, Franklin's not going to politics. What?
Well, I'm just saying that's the next. I mean, they said Jay-Z wouldn't do half the stuff he's doing right now, right? So anyway, I'm just saying. Now with the kid involved, that's going to change the dynamic, I believe, in everybody's behavior. So is he more for self, or is it really about his immediate family or the family? Leon, woo! I want to shift to characters, but that leads into that. Leon having that guilt. That black guilt, like, hey, man, we're destroying families. I want to build this up. The way they're coming in here, treating us like dogs, like worse than dogs and animals on the streets. So we're people. We're black people. And it's interesting the verbiage that Franklin uses when he's talking to Leon. He's like, your people. It's like, no, wait. Oh, brother, it's our people. Now he feels above now. And if you catch it, it's just one little line, but it's like, woo. And one thing I want to add, so I was watching as I was watching the whole series, I watched a couple of interviews of Damson Idris, and he was on like Hot 97. He's talking, and he was like, you know what? A couple of things when John Singleton did the audition with him, he's like, hey, he made him go out in the hood with him and like introduce him to other people. He's like, stay in character, and we're gonna see. This is your audition right now. He's like, He's like, I didn't read. He's like, you took me out.
Wow.
He's like, if they believe you here, then you're good. And then he's like, he met his mom. He met John Singleton's mom, and he said Ben for trash. And so it's like, where's he from? Like, that's the only thing he messed up. But she believed, was like, and he said, I threw it in the bin. And he was like,
Ben.
where's he from, John? Where's he from, John? It's like, oh, and that was the only thing that caught him.
Right.
My last thing is, there was a quote that Idris and John Singleton were talking about. He's like, when it came to crack and cocaine, Black people were affected in many ways, but crack cocaine was the only thing that made Black mothers leave their children. And that resonated with me so deep, because in season 4, you really see the way crack cocaine just destroyed the Black community. Oh my God, on the West Coast. And you feel like, is making more money more important than what we're doing to our people? I mean, it really made you think about it. You know, is it worth it all at the end of the day?
It was. Apparently it was.
Yeah, apparently. But I don't know if I could do that, man. That was a deep dive into, like, sacrifice you make just so you can be on top.
And that's what makes Franklin's character so interesting. Like, I don't know whether to like him or to hate him, because it's very clear what he's doing and how he's contributing to the demise of the Black community, right? And whoever else, right? But we also get this other side of Franklin who's caring.
Yeah.
And he's respectful, and he has love in his heart, and he's fair. And so it's a weird relationship to have with the character, because he's both a villain. He's both the protagonist and antagonist, rather. So there's a lot of conflict there, which is, I think, what makes his character so awesome, and what we can relate to, because just as regular humans, like, we got some, positives and negatives within us. Yeah, it's interesting to see Leon kind of deviate from the pack, so to speak, and want to forge his own path. So that's going to be interesting, right? Because he is, like, outside of Louis and Jerome, he's the one of the person that really knows and gets Franklin. Like, I love this scene. I think it was in episode, when did Sissy come home? I think episode 4, when Leon, right before Sissy walks into that room, and they're having a conversation about Teddy, and Franklin still doesn't understand why Teddy feels some kind of way about whatever. And Leon comes in and he kind of explains that in a way that Franklin is like, I never thought about that. In that moment, I was like, Leon is an asset. He is valuable. And I hope to God Franklin doesn't get threatened by Leon wanting to do his own thing. Do you think he would?
Yeah, because I think Franklin thinks Leon is not loyal to the level he should be.
Right.
Like, Leon wants out. He's like, hey, man, I just want to do my own thing. But he's like, no, brother. You don't understand what I did and the sacrifice I made for you. I went against my word to other people so that you would be okay. So I think he looks at Leon sometimes like, you ungrateful mother. All this. Right. You fam, that's what I do for you. You're supposed to be at the dinner. You're supposed to be by my side, ride or die. And Leon's not on that path anymore. He's like, man, if I survived this long, I should get out. And Franklin's not even in that mode. I mean, his wife, his future wife is now, baby's mama, but he's still not in that mindset. Like, there's always more. And, in any good drug movie or drug show, they always get caught and always get in trouble because they always want more. Or it's that last time. Just give me some time. Give me some time. And I'm like, come on, man.
It's very similar to the drug addict. Just one more hit. Just one more hit.
Yeah.
Constant chase of more. So speaking of Franklin's, the woman in his life, V, Veronique, who I think is dope. Like, her presence is it's interesting, and I hate that I keep using the word interesting, but a lot of things are, because she grounds him. She centers him in a way that only his mother used to. His mother, sister. Yeah. So there's a lot of similarities between the woman in his life and his mama. What is that? The Oedipus complex, I think it is.
Yeah.
So I'm terrified for V, right? Because in episode 1, they have this conversation while they're overlooking a sunset or whatever, and they're talking about loyalty, right? And so he's pretty much Franklin is saying to V, like, I just need your loyalty. I need to know that, you're here for me. Because basically I'm going to have to do what I have to do if people aren't loyal. So in my mind, I'm like, oh snap, this means if I'm not loyal, I might die. My dumbass in that moment would have been like, wait, okay, so worst case scenario, I'm not loyal to you, boo. Does that mean that you're going to kill me? I just need to understand.
Because the last chick he had,
who, Mel? I mean, but Mel didn't die.
No, I know, but he set her up. So he set him up. So they planted something on her though, so she had to figure it out. So for that, my point is that was the last woman that he was like, listen, if it goes down, it's gonna be you before me.
But that was young Franklin, right? This is older Franklin.
24. Again, some of his stuff is mature, but some of it still is his age.
Right, because it's not like this is a 2-year difference. This is 15 months after the last episode of season 4, right? So it's not that far off. But I'm kind of scared for V, right? Because as ride or die as she is for Franklin, now that she's preggers, the baby is going to be the priority, right? So would she, put the baby before Franklin? And then what does that say to Franklin, right?
Yeah.
Like, I could see V, wanting to hightail it, her and her baby, to get away from the craziness, because it's going to get crazy. Considering that the direction this season is going is we're getting to see a lot of Teddy and Franklin's dynamic, which I can't wait to see. All right, so let's segue into Teddy and Franklin. What did you think of Teddy in seasons 1 through 4?
Very complicated character. Wanted to do right in the beginning, but now I feel like he's just spun out of control. Like his heart was there for the right reason. At least that's the way he made it feel for himself. It was like, hey, I'm fighting because I'm afraid of this happening. There's something bigger than the drugs. There's a war going on right now, and it's going to spread. So if we don't do these right things now and give the guns to the Contras, we're going to be screwed. It's the bigger picture of it he's looking at. And then he found out that, no one cares about you at the end of the day, regardless of what you do, what sacrifices you make. He sacrificed his family and his child and just trying to figure things out. And then you see him kind of come on unhinged. Oh my God, his relationship with his dad. Woo! Anybody I've ever met, when they come home and I've met their family, and the way they speak to their father speaks levels like nobody's business. Sure. Like when you still say, hello, sir, like stuff like that. It's like, you don't say dad or, his name, hey, Joe, or something like that. It's like, hello, sir. It's like, ooh, I know the energy in this house is definitely not the way it's supposed to be. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, the thought of that, not only distancing himself from his girl and his son, but, he's behind his brother dying, in a way. He got his brother caught up in this mess. And so now that responsibility is like, you know what? If I'm going down, I'm taking everybody with me, or I want to be in control of everything. And so you kind of see that now in season 5, how he's like recording everything, listening in. It's just, I don't know, what to really, say about that or see how that's going to play out until you see Franklin's mom later on at the end of episode. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
so things are going to go down there.
That was definitely a weird twist. Yeah, Teddy he's a complicated nutcase, a quiet nutcase. I mean, when you think about someone who's worked in the CIA or for the CIA and is pretty much, I don't want to say the cleanup man, but he is the in-between man. And so the things that Teddy has seen and had to do, it's crazy how they've manifested themselves in Teddy. Like, he's so placid, but then God only knows what's bubbling up.
Oh yeah.
But we've seen what that looks like, right? And so what's interesting about Teddy and Franklin and Alton, Franklin's father, is in season 4, the last episode, we really didn't hear or see Teddy, or his name at the time was Reed, kill Alton, Franklin's father. So the verdict is out whether Alton is actually dead, right? And I don't think he is.
He dead.
But we don't know that. You didn't see him shoot Alton. It's just assumed that he is, and that's for a reason, because that would be a death they would show. I don't think so. I think either he's stashed away somewhere or he's in Guantanamo, whatever that Bay place is called.
Guantanamo.
Right? He's over there.
Did you see what he did to the reporter? So here's the thing now.
Didn't matter. She didn't matter to him. Alton is Franklin's father. Teddy has a modicum of respect for Franklin. I don't know that he would kill Franklin.
Teddy doesn't care anymore. He's off the reservation.
I don't know.
He's off the reservation.
Lisa May, I know you watched Snowfall. What do you think about Teddy? Do you think he actually killed Alton? And anybody else who's watching, leave a comment. That's the only way we'll know, if you got something to say if you leave a comment.
Ellen, Franklin and Teddy now are at a point of they don't care anymore. These men before cared about killing somebody or anything happening. Now they're putting hits on people. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but they have a business relationship that's been very lucrative for both of them.
Based on secrets until Franklin had to find out. Come on.
Based on money. That's all Franklin cares about, and that's all Teddy cares about, right? So, but beyond that, I feel like there is a layer of respect that Teddy has for Franklin, right? Just because.
I think it's more of admiration because of his hustle as for such a young kid.
That's not respect.
No, there's a respect and there's admiring somebody. It's two different things. My personal opinion, it is two different things.
I think he does both. He admires and he respects Franklin's hustle.
Okay, that's possible. That's
right. That's very possible.
Okay.
All right. So shifting gears a little bit to Jerome and Louis. Listen, I need them to get on board. I need them to get on Franklin's.
Really?
Just why are we separating from the family? Like, why? It's complicating things, especially now that Grady is dead, right? Teddy won't keep the price that Grady had it at. So that's affecting Franklin's business. And I love how episode 5 ended with Franklin getting in Louis' face. Like, listen, I'm going to have to do what I have to do. So don't get in the way of that. You don't think they should join forces again? Like, what do you think Jerome and Louis should do?
I can't speak for somebody that had a killer. One got shot and then had a killer in the hospital. And I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. So she's like, I'm done. And it seems that when Franklin does it his way, it's chaos. But when all the time she's arguing, like every time that I've done it my way, there was peace. And so Franklin doesn't get that. His moves are a little bit chaotic at times. So she's like, hey, let me speak to Teddy. Me and Teddy were running stuff back in the day. He'll hear me out. And he don't want her to get involved, which I understand. Hey,
Teddy, right? She can't.
I get it. But at the same time, it's like, hey, there's ways to always react. And I think sometimes Franklin doesn't want to listen until he's like, getting knocked upside the head or everything's going crazy. And so she does have a valid argument sometimes. But then he asks her, to go back to what you're saying, like, what do you want? What's the end game? What's the win? If she would have said, I want out, she didn't say that. So what does she actually want?
Right. Well, Lisa May just made a very valid point. If they want to do their own thing, they have to live with the price hike. They're not going to get the discount they get with Franklin. Right. So this is the kind of show that everybody's about that money. So that will be the determining factor. Like, do I go rogue and then pay astronomical prices, or do I stay here and, get a discount? I don't know how that's going to work out. And so what I didn't realize is that when Jerome and Louis were in the car right after they picked up the weapons from Avi, I didn't realize that Louis brought Jerome into the game. So did I forget that? Was that stated in seasons 1 through 4, or that's just something that they're just kind of telling us?
No, yeah, they're telling you as it is. No, that wasn't in the.
Okay. Yeah.
By the way, side note, love Avi. I love how Avi's grown too, from like the wild beard to like the old sophisticated man. He's one of the best characters on there. He's great. You need more Avi. You need more Avi.
Maybe they will. You know who I was glad to see cleaned up and back?
Yeah.
Human form is Wanda.
Yeah.
Oh, she looks amazing. And so I'm glad that, there's a little, bit of hope there. Like, addicts can get cleaned up. They can have a second chance in to live life. Like her turnaround is incredible. And I hope that she stays that course. And I love that Leon, you know, doesn't allow her to get back in the game because she loses her sex phone job.
Yeah.
And she's, you know, she's looking to make some cash. And Leon is like, nah, I'm going to make it real easy for you. There's nothing for you here. So now she has to go figure something out, which she does, and come to find out that she's really good at it. So kudos to Wanda for
don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't take the easy way out.
Right.
Always a lesson here at the Rewind with Ellen show.
Right.
Always a lesson.
So the funniest part of this season so far is Scully. Like Scully has completely turned into, I don't know, like he's either quoting the scriptures or he's slashing somebody's ear off. Like I can't figure out who Scully is. Like what's his purpose?
He is on next level crazy. But then the God thing, like, you know, this is the right thing. This is it. This is meant to be. This is how it all is. I'm like, sometimes, you know, he reminded me of just your conscience. Sometimes your mind goes crazy, but your conscience knows, like, hey, you know what? Don't go in there. So his girl, she's like, don't go down there. Just leave it be, and she wouldn't listen. You know, and sometimes our ego kind of takes control of us. So, you know, even though he is crazy at sometimes, there is a method to the madness. I must say,
it seems that way, especially now with Mello. I think it's hilarious that Mello thought he was going to be able to take Scully out.
Ooh, that was crazy. That was crazy.
And so how smart are Jerome and Louis, right? To peep, like, because I love that scene when they walk out of Scully's apartment that first time. And I think Jerome says to Louis, like, you know, did you peep Mello? Like, did you peep Mello's vibe, right? Because his vibe is off. And I love that they have that connection to Avi's point, saying you guys are like a Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde, but not the bad part. Not the bad part.
Right. Not that you guys die at the end, but the partnership. So they make a good team. And that's why I kind of want them to still hold Franklin down. But a prediction I have is they're going to go their own way, and then they're going to be at odds. Right.
Yeah, right. It's definitely looking that way. Unless, I mean, you know, with the whole at the end of the show, with Teddy, if that gets out of control.
Right. So
there's who's your connect? Yeah, who's your connect? You know, and then that's a whole nother conversation.
Who would be the connect if Teddy falls out?
Yeah. Are you just getting your own? Are you going next level and getting that connect together? You know, and you need the CIA at the end of the day, because he's letting certain things go through. You're going to do all these custom stuff and just be informed about, you know, when's someone coming here, when someone coming there. So you can control it in LA with the police, but you can't control it, you know, in other countries and how things are being distributed. So
yeah, there's no better ally to have than a Teddy who's connected.
Yeah. So I get how Franklin, he's ignoring that. He's like, I think he knows he killed his dad. You're in denial. You're in denial. Like I'm gonna be the family. You, Franklin, you're in denial, but everybody knows you know who killed it. You know Teddy killed him. You know. So again, he was going on I actually want to know back then if there's any Black Panther tape. That's what I wanted to look into. But that was a beautiful scene in season 4 with the bookstore and stuff like that, and just seeing the history of the Black Panthers and really learning about that again, or in depth, a little bit more in depth of what happened, just movements that were going on that you don't really hear about until Black History Month for like a couple weeks. But you know, that's it. Okay, great, keep on moving. Or a Black movie comes out, you know, about the Panthers, like, oh, here's another thing we learned today. So I love that Franklin wanted to learn his history in order to move forward and really understand what it feels to be Black, but also how to move in and out of these streets working with the government.
Yeah, that's heavy.
And why can't we get reparations? Like, if I need one more movie to show what the government has done to Black communities, and we're still not getting reparations, I don't know what to say anymore at this point. Like, we're arguing about it, but there's proof. There's actually proof and documents that show that they were involved. And I don't understand how this, like, are we arguing about this?
I hope that in our lifetime we get to see that.
Oh, baby girl, that's never gonna happen. Right? That's never gonna happen. Right. There's no shot. There's no shot. Well, although we did say we never see a Black president, that happened. And we had a Black VP, but I'm gonna go out on a limb on this one. Never gonna happen.
Never ever. Okay.
Right. And until I mean, God bless the people of Ukraine, but we just gave them a check yesterday for just there you go, and I'll leave it at that.
You get right. It's not even. That's a whole other episode.
Mm-hmm. Leave it at that.
Right. So Sissy comes home. And so this goes back to my prediction as to why I think Alton is not dead. What has kept Sissy in Cuba this whole time? Like, why didn't she come home?
Did you miss the end of the episode?
Of what episode?
The guy she's talking to.
No, I know, but see that's what's confusing, right?
That's what she was doing. She's like, I'm trying to figure out how to because remember she didn't know about when they're at dinner and she goes, oh, Teddy's in town, and her eyes just like, what you didn't tell me. Yeah, but now she goes to the guy. Now we know where he is, and so let's do it. So right. I think that's what she was doing the whole time.
But that doesn't mean Alton's dead. That doesn't mean Alton's dead. Like, Alton disappeared. I don't think.
Did anybody answer this below? Did anybody say anything? Did anybody say is Alton dead or not?
Lisa May also agrees. Like, she doesn't believe Alton is dead. So
no one. I'm by myself. Okay.
There's two people in this world that think that Alton
by
is
myself.
alive.
Two people.
But
I'm going to Black Twitter later. I'm going to ask. I'm Black Twitter later.
There's some predictions out there. Google it. But Mama Sissy being back, and she wants in on the game, which is interesting, right? Because prior to the ending of episode 4, I'm kind of like, why does Mama want to get back in the game? And then we find out why. But that's a dangerous game that she's playing, right? Because if Teddy did kill Alton, what's stopping him from killing the mom? And because once Teddy does that, that's war.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's my point. That's my point. So he knew better than to kill the mom. And that goes back to yours. Okay, now I'm going back to you. Respect there. Yes, there's definitely respect there. He knew if he touched the mom that was a wrap.
Oh.
He knew that.
Right.
But the dad, and that's what I love about Franklin sometimes. Like, he knows there's rules about this. So if you go over those rules, and like Dad went over them twice. Not once, but went over them twice. And so at that point, it's like, hey, it is what it is. This is business. Like I said, this is business.
At the end of the day. So that's going to be. So who do you think that dude was? His name was Ruben, but what team does he play for? Who's he?
Well, the way he said it, he wanted to put a hit on him. Maybe he's still part of the cartel. And
how she what? Anyway,
I don't know down there because again, remember the two guys who got arrested.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a cousin of those guys. Because remember, Teddy gave up two guys he was getting deliveries from before. I'm sorry, I forget their names. But maybe he's related to them. And because remember, they're locked up. They even had a court date. The reporter was trying to talk to them in prison. They're like, we haven't had a court date. She goes, yeah, there's nothing been going on at all. And so maybe he's on their back end, like, hey, I'm looking for them. I'm going to find them and get them myself. That's the only connection I can make.
This is going to get ugly. And then who do you think Louis is going to give up, right? Because she has this cop that keeps coming.
Yeah.
Buckley, I think his name is, that's looking for her to give somebody up. Who now? And so the way they're setting it up, it looks kind of obvious because the more she beefs with Franklin, the more she's probably going to want Franklin taken out of that position. That's a stretch. I get it. Who else would she give up? I know that's a stretch, but if Louis gets to a point where she's just like, F it, I'm about.
No, I think she's going. I think Buck. I think he's going down.
Buckley.
I think he's going down.
They're gonna kill the FBI agent? Are you kidding me?
The way he's just all up in the business.
That's a lot of heat on them. That's a big risk.
I'm just saying. She's going to give him a situation, and then let him know the cops are coming, and he's going to be in a situation. That's how I think you do it. Best of both worlds.
Okay.
Set up, that way. Oh yeah, I got a tip for you, and then boom, tit for tat on one of those.
Okay, I guess I could.
That's my tip.
I guess I could see that.
I mean, I'm rarely wrong in this show, so it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of questions. A lot of things are up in the air this season, but it's off to one hell of a start. I am tuned in. I'm excited. I hope Franklin doesn't fall from grace. I hope that and it's crazy to say because he's a drug dealer, but I hope he flourishes. I hope that he gets what he wants and he gets out of the game and he lives like a legit straight life, and we'll just forget all the crack and the dope that he sold and all the lives that he took, so he can have the life that he wants to have. And I think he'd make an amazing father. I do. And that's the idealist in me.
Oh man. All right. Oh God.
I think. You don't think he would make a good father?
He's killed people. What are you talking about?
Never mind that.
What are you talking about?
Forget that.
It's not like he was in the military or he's killed people. His best friend, one of his good friends he grew up in high school with, one of his other best friends, by accident, of course, but he still killed people. Come on, Ellen.
Killers can't be good fathers? I'm kidding.
And we can make a T-shirt for that one. That's a good one. Killers can't be good fathers. Question mark on the back. Signed Ellen on the bottom.
Ooh, okay. Yes. Any last words before we wrap this up?
I don't know, man. We want to leave on that. That was beautiful. That was.
I have hope. I have hope in Franklin for whatever bizarre reason, because we get to see that, human side of him. He's in a business where he has to do what he has to do. Yeah, I don't know why I'm trying to make excuses for this gangster drug dealer. What were you about to say?
Ellen, you're amazing.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching episode 7 of Rewind with Ellen.
If you know any drug dealers that are single out there and looking to be matched up, please send your.
My mom would have a heart attack if I brought home a drug dealer. Are you kidding me?
But Mom, he's doing good now. Look, he's a good guy. He can provide and everything's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. You'll love it.
We're living in the penthouse, Mom.
That's what I'm saying. He's got a private jet. I can fly down the islands, come back.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
Just kidding. I'm not that person, at least not anymore. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, Lisa May. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate you. And Ro, you have yourself a fabulous weekend. And I forgot to mention, I love that you dressed for the occasion in your buttoned up Cali shirt. I
was gonna put powder on my face, like I just did a lot of blow, but I didn't think that was very PC. That was I didn't think that you're like I was gonna go down in a scene and come back like, hey, Ellen, what's up?
That would have been good.
We're not there yet. Okay. All right. Tough crap.
All right, my dear. Have a good night.
You too. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.